Hey, what's going on, Clipper people? It is me, William the Opinion Updike.
And I am still pretty positive, Chuck Mockler.
And today we're going to be talking about the Clippers taking an L to the Warriors. A little bit of a rough one there, not a whole lot to look forward to. But hey, it is the first night of a back-to-back. And next, the Clippers will be taking on the Wizards. We'll talk about what they need to do well to win that one, as well as what could go wrong. And then it's What You Say Wednesday. Every single Wednesday, we put a poll out on Twitter. We put it out on Tuesdays. That's at Locked On Clips. We want to know what you think about a given subject. This one is all about how much time should PG have to ramp up before you're nervous. So all that and more coming up right about now.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, so the Clippers yet again fall flat offensively. This time against the Golden State Warriors. Welcome to Locked On Clips, coming at you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday,
Hey,
7 a.m. Hey,
thanks for the hello.
thanks for the love. Make us your first listen. Let's get the quick part out of the way of this one, because this was not as close as the score indicates by any means. What did we like about this game?
Batum was our leading scorer.
That was good. That was fun.
He had 17 points.
Ooh, that was not so good. Yeah, I mean, his energy was good. Him and Terrence had good energy.
Yeah,
No
definitely.
one else could seem to feed off it. Terrence was buzzing. He was not efficient. He was like 2 of 9, but he added 7 boards. Rodney Hood came in late, had 10 points on 6 shots.
Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye actually tied for the best plus minus on the team. They were both plus 12 in a 15-point loss. So are you ready to eat some crow on those two?
I am not at all. Not at all. I will not be eating crow. I mean, this is how bad it was that this is in the what we liked section. Like, the Clippers mounted a quote unquote surge to cut the deficit to 12 or whatever the hell it was. Like, I don't know. Zoo had a career high in steals by somehow getting 4 in the first quarter.
Nice.
Which is great. But honestly, is there anything else that we liked from this game?
No, I don't think so.
What did we not like in this game then?
I mean, we shot 30% from 3 and only scored 28 points in the paint. So, I mean, there's just not a whole lot from this to like. Zoo was 0 of 6, despite, him getting some pretty decent looks around the rim.
The Clippers couldn't hit shots in the paint.
Yeah.
We shot sub 50% in the paint. Ty Lue gave the Warriors credit for taking the paint attacks away. He mentioned that we didn't share the basketball, which was very true. Yeah, I mean, Reggie, we didn't get the bounce back game that we wanted.
Yeah.
Not even close. 2 of 14 from the floor, 1 of 5 from 3. Morris and Coffey combined to go 7 for 22, 0 of 7 from 3. The weird part was the process wasn't entirely horrible, right?
Well, and we did limit their 3-point attempts, which we had talked about doing, trying to funnel some stuff in the paint. But as we said, that it only works if the if the defense is locked down a little bit more. It's not going to happen if a team outscores you by 20 points in the paint.
We got to talk about the defense, because the body language was brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, we were down 28 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Not ideal. It was 21-21 after the first quarter. Steph didn't have a very good game in this one.
Yeah.
We couldn't take advantage of that. Klay Thompson got
15?
hot.
Yeah.
15, yeah. Jordan Poole, I'm pretty sure outscored our entire bench. What was the issue with the defense? Was it just when things aren't working offensively for this Clippers team, it seeps over to the other side of the ball?
Oh, 100%, which is unfortunate because, we've had such poor offense. But,
yeah.
We've been able to count on that defense consistently. But I think that, you do hit a wall at a certain point. It's just a bummer to see it, I guess, regress so quickly after being on a bit of a roll, albeit
Yes.
against, competition that is, easier.
Not good,
for sure.
yeah. Rockets and Lakers, not good teams right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I don't know. I would hope that you could carry over some of that sort of momentum and vibe.
Well, even just the
into-
momentum from
into-
how bad the Knicks game was.
Yeah.
That's what I think makes this game a little more frustrating than even the game against the Knicks, right? Eastern Conference opponent, sometimes you just have stinkers, right? No one thinks that we're going to get 2 of those Reggie performances in a row. No one thinks Zoo's going to miss every single shot he takes.
Yeah.
There just wasn't. It felt like there wasn't a sense of urgency.
That's fair. I guess I would not have put this one in the same tier as the Knicks game, personally.
Do you think that we were better in the Knicks game?
No, I think the Knicks loss is way worse.
That's fair. No, Robert Covington was a nightmare for the Clippers bench defense.
Of course. Yeah. And this is like what we talked about in the game preview. I was
Yes.
saying I didn't quite know if we would have this one.
And I mean, there's not really a whole lot to elaborate on, but like, it's not a surprise that Brandon Boston Jr. getting Rocco's minutes that the team isn't as good on defense.
Yeah.
Like, he covers the baseline so well and just shores up some defensive issues in like sneaky ways for the bench lineup. And when he's gone, the bench almost has to go bucket for bucket.
Yeah. They're not really getting stops. Well, especially,
Yes.
I mean, like this, this Warriors bench is pretty strong.
Yes, and it was strong against this Clippers defense. But I mean, I know the recap isn't as in depth as it usually is, but like this was an annoying game to watch.
Yeah, this is a bad game.
It's a bad game. How are we feeling? It's the first night of the back-to-back. How are we feeling?
I mean, I guess we were due for like a little bit of a skid,
Sure.
Hope that it doesn't end up being a 3-game skid, but yeah, I mean,
It's hard when you have 2 games where like you can kind of be like, oh, we can just throw this one out and focus on the next one in a row.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I guess that the only thing that's concerning is, like just these issues seem to be popping up. The same issues popping up more and more. And then as you have guys like Reggie, who like even after this kind of rest, it's a little unclear like what this toll of this season and how much he's been expected to do is like really weighing on him. Or
And we talked about those minutes the other day.
yeah.
The minutes just keep going up. Like,
And then even some of these other bench guys who like I think have for the most part overperformed, right?
sure.
I
I don't think
think
that's crazy
though-
to say at all.
I think that at a certain point, it makes sense that some things would regress to the means, and I'm not saying that that's the type of team that this Clippers team is.
Sure.
Like I still think that this is even without essentially any top tier talent, about a 500 team.
Very true. Yes.
On the margins, but you got to work a lot harder than any other team on a night in, night out basis.
And especially a rested Steph, a rested Clay, a rested Wiggins.
Yeah, and like that's it's just gonna catch up with you, and I'm not saying that it's permanent or anything, but yeah, I do think that it makes sense.
Yes. That's a good call.
I'm not overall that frustrated. It's like
if
yeah,
Kawhi and PG were healthy,
that
this would
makes
be a
sense.
what the hell's going on.
oh, of
2-game
course,
stretch.
yeah, of course.
But that's
of
a good
course.
call because I was getting a little caught up just watching this game and just like, what the hell are we doing? And it's just like this.
You got to remember a lot of stuff. Just with what this team has, a lot of stuff has to go right for this team to play 500 ball, and
Yeah.
like it just that
and
just
to win
is
a game and
yeah,
the Bay.
that just is what it is. And then like so, yeah, I mean, when they not even like play at the baseline that we expect, like yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna take a loss to the third best team in the Western Conference.
Yes, very good call. And we got another scoring drought, which was always fun to see. 15 points in the second quarter. The Clips, not ideal. Coming up, we're going to be previewing the game the day you're listening to this, so a very quick chance for the Clippers to bounce back, which is good, I guess. But first, we got to give a shout out to Built Bar. Will, did you know that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors?
I did not.
It has so many.
What do they got?
Coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, and German chocolate. My favorite flavor right now, these days, mint brownie. It's a nice little treat, a little refreshing with that mint.
Yummy.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I say every time when I bite into it. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you get a mixed box where you get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. It's fantastic. Not only are Built Bars great tasting, they're healthy too. 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams sugar, only 4 to 5 grams net carbs, all tasty, all healthy flavors. Built Bar is also the official bar of the U.S. track and field team.
That's neat.
Pretty neat. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get 50% off your order. One more time, use promo code LOCKEDON for 15% off at Built.com.
All right, so now the Clippers on the second night of a back-to-back are taking on the Wizards. Chuck, what do we need to do well to get this win?
I mean, so this is a double-edged sword here. Do we go down more than 35 or do we not go down by more than 35?
New record?
So here's the thing. Are the Wizards going to be mad enough about this to like try and really stomp us? Is this extra motivation?
Are they that team?
I don't think, because they're I
are-
think if you're a really good team and you let a team come back down from 35, you're like, we got to show these MFers
Yeah.
what we're all about.
I agree with you 100%. And I
don't think the Wizards are that team.
Are the Wizards that team, though?
Really? What realistically we have to do, let's show up in the paint.
Yeah.
The Wizard shot profile is one that's a little terrifying. They take the 8th most 2-pointers per game in the league, hit them with the 6th best field goal clip in the league. So it's kind of set this up to make not a good time. And what are our legs going to look like defensively, right? Like Batum played 26 minutes, which isn't crazy, but he was expending a lot more effort than seemingly anyone else other than maybe Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
Against the Warriors. Zoo only had 22 minutes since he was a nightmare. We're not sure if Roko's going to be back, but damn would it help a lot.
It would.
What are we thinking these legs look like? What are we concerned about? Who do you want to see step up other than Marcus Morris, which I feel like we have to say that every game since the All-Star break?
I mean, well, I think that with the Wizards kind of shot profile, I'm hoping that we can get another like anchor performance from Zoo.
Yes.
Probably won't need to lean on him offensively, but the Wizards are the 5th worst 3-point shooting team by percentage.
Okay.
They also take the 2nd fewest threes per game.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot less ground for him to sort of have to cover. I would hope that, with that, we can kind of figure it out. Because I do think that some of where the issues come in the paint is like just some of these miscommunications that pop up on defense. Just kind of, losing guys.
We saw so many. It felt like the Warriors, like obviously Steph's gravity is a lot different than anyone else on the Wizards right now.
Yeah.
But they were putting Zoo in motion, and it just felt like no one knew where anyone else was going to be.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been a hallmark of like these last couple of losses has just been, I think that there's been some miscommunication there and some frustration, and I guess I don't know how that rears its head, but I guess it's kind of like I was talking about in the last segment, like at a certain point, like everybody is sort of outkicked their coverage to a point where it makes sense that you're going to have a regression below the means for some games.
For sure. What else do we need to do well?
Win the boards. And I know that we say that basically every game.
Hey, I would love it if we did it every game.
But the Wizards they're not a great rebounding team. They're just outside the bottom 5 in total rebounds, which isn't obviously the whole picture.
Sure.
They are not a great offensive rebounding team. Actually the 4th worst by percentage. And now this is an area where I think that the Clippers can sometimes get punished, especially as like on those second chance points.
Yes.
So I think if we can limit those with the shot profile that the Wizards have and our defense, I just feel like we have a pretty solid chance in this one, even though it is the second night of a back-to-back.
Right.
Even though the shot profile, like some of those kind of teams that take a lot of shots in the paint really give us trouble. I have a little bit more confidence in this one.
Yes, then against the rest of the Warriors, that's fair. Going into what could go wrong, if our offense isn't able to make shots, this like kind of new look Wizards team can take advantage. So Kristaps has only played 1 game for them, so he's not really going to be a factor. But since the Kristaps trade, the Wizards' offensive rating is 6 points higher than their season average. Beal's been out, so it's just kind of hard to know what to expect, right? Like, we don't know who's going to contribute. Kyle Kuzma's averaging 23 points a game since the trade. His season average is 17. KCP is +5 in points per game since the trade. Like, it seemed like everyone really did hate Spencer Dinwiddie this much.
and now he's the inside man taking down the Mavs.
Yeah, which we're all totally fine with. But like, what do we do if this offense hits a wall, and will it only be one wall?
Well, I think it's inevitable that it's going to hit a wall.
Sure.
And also, like, teams are not shooting that well against the Wizards. They have a top 10.
Don't like that.
They have a top 10 opponent field goal percentage, which is obviously the field goals that your opponent makes against you.
Sure.
Theirs is 52%. Opponents making about 52% of shots, which is top 10, as I said. Clippers are actually fourth in opponent field goal percentage,
Hey.
51%.
Oh,
So,
okay. Neck and neck. though.
very neck and neck as far as that goes. But I think that this, could spell sort of a bad run for the Clips. We've seen worse defenses make this offense look silly. So that's definitely something to be concerned about.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the Knicks.
I'm a little nervous about this one. Strictly just if we would have come out and showed like a bunch of fight against the Warriors and it actually was kind of like a 12-point game or whatever it seemed like at one point in this one, instead of being what it was, which was a blowout that thankfully didn't, last the whole time. Like we didn't lose by 30. We were down by 30. We didn't lose by 30. I would feel different. But the fact that we've had these two rough performances, we need a Reggie game.
I don't know, man.
Morris.
Second time back to back.
I know. I'm just
guess
saying
you
we
got some
need it.
race.
That's what
some rest. Yeah.
That's what I'm nervous about. Batum talked about it in the post game. He was like, we need to not let up.
Yeah.
Like we need to continue the style of play. What's your prediction for this one? Like what version are we getting on the second night? In these past two games clips, what does second night of a back-to-back of this rough stretch look like? Do we get the dub? Are we getting back on track?
I think you don't want to lose 3 straight.
I think most people would agree with you on that.
So, no, I think that, and this team has overall played, solidly in back-to-backs. We're used to it.
Yeah. Oh, we've been there. Let's get this dub. It's doable.
Yeah.
Hoping for some bounce back games from quite literally everybody on the team, right? Like that's not crazy to say.
Yes, definitely. That would be ideal.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Coming up, we're going to be talking What You Say Wednesday, as well as some quote unquote news on Kawhi Leonard, and then some actual news on Jason Preston.
All right. So we're talking What You Say Wednesday. Every single Tuesday, we put a poll out on Twitter that's at Locked On Clips. I know everything's funky. It's the day before. We record the shows the day before. But anyways, we always ask a question, and we want to know what you think about a given subject. This one is all about sort of Paul George's ramp up. Right now, it's still no timeline, to be clear.
None at all.
But let's say in a scenario, not saying the craziest, not saying the likeliest, just saying a scenario. Paul George has only 5 regular season games to ramp up. Would you still want him to come back this year? That was the question. Chuck, what did people have to say?
Well, 86% of people want him to come back. 14% said no, which shout out to the 528 people who voted. Caleb Daniels said yes, largely because this seems to be an uncommon injury for the sport, as opposed to a more concerning leg injury that could rear its head repeatedly if he rushes. Don't want to rush no matter what. Just see little risk in playing him. A lot of people basically saying he's good enough to get into the rhythm in 5 games, which is true. I will point out, for what it's worth, the last 5 games of the season for the Clippers, the last 2 are a back-to-back. So this is effectively PG's playing in 4 games.
Yeah.
I would assume, unless Ty just loses his mind. But where are you on this? Do you think 5 games is enough? Because I personally, I'm not doubting PG's ability or anything like that. 5 games feels about right on the thin line for what I'm comfortable with.
I would say at that point, you're definitely coming up against the threshold. And I like that you bring up that, the last game is a back-to-back. So effectively, if there's 5 games left on the schedule, he's playing one.
And the
less
play-in
game.
is the day after, or the second day, a day and a half.
And then I don't have the playoff schedule in front of me, but depending on what that rest schedule is like,
let's just assume horrible.
I gotta 5 games even. Like I'm saying, it's right on the threshold, but that's got to be as close to a no for me as you can get.
Because if someone said 4, I would say no.
Like with me still like leaning towards yes, because I just do think it's important to get those reps in if he's healthy enough to play productive minutes.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
If we're trying to make a punch at an actual contention thing, misguided. If we're trying to be
If
like,
we're only getting one back,
yeah.
quote unquote only, you guys know what I'm saying. But like,
If we're getting one player back and it's because they're healthy and ready to go and not because we're like, this is our window, we're going to try to seize it. But
Yeah.
like, hey, let's get some reps in, see what happens. You know,
Yeah.
Just see what happens.
that's legit.
I would say yes, which I don't know if that's ever a conversation that goes on, but
Let's see what happens. Lawrence Frank is just shrugging a bunch. to
That's
Steve
what I would
Ballmer.
like for it to be.
And so for what it's, Ty Lue told Chris Haynes that he wouldn't play them in the playoffs without ramp up time, both Kawhi and PG, which makes total sense to me.
I think 100% reasonable.
You're not dropping guys in the playoffs against. Also, we're not going to the playoffs as a home seed, right? Like,
Yeah.
we have to play an extra game to get into these playoffs. Most 99% likely. So I think that makes total sense. But it's some tinfoil toque time. We're going north of the border for our hat styles.
Okay.
For this one. So PG was dressed for shoot around today. Per La Murray.
All
Which
right.
got the tinfoil, folding to make these hats. Kawhi Leonard also was doing
His first media workout.
his first media workout. Per Chris Haynes, this was a rigorous workout. So we've got explosive box jumps,
Rigorous workout.
rigorous pregame shoot arounds. Here's my thing. The tinfoil toque is on. Why would he be out there if there wasn't a possibility of him coming to play basketball?
Got to get those ticket sales up, man.
For the Warriors? But seriously, why is he out there?
Yeah.
Why is Kawhi Leonard,
Yeah.
of all players, doing a rigorous workout by himself
Yeah.
at an away game?
Just a very un-Kawhi thing to do.
Yeah, like, is that crazy? I don't know. Come on.
I like where your head's at. I like where your hat's at.
I appreciate that.
And there's got to be something to this. It's it's like we just keep talking about though. Like we just keep getting one non-update essentially after
Sure.
one non-update,
And then just like footage.
Yeah, and like they're like kind of marginal, and you have to read a lot of tea leaves to like
You're slowing the footage down and you're zooming
Exactly.
and enhancing.
Exactly. When what is really gonna happen is one game. Before one game during this season, one or both of these players are gonna be listed as questionable, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh," and then they're gonna play.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be it. That's how it's gonna happen.
Yes. And all of this being said, Ty was asked if Kawhi Leonard was cleared for contact. His exact answer was no. He was also asked even just one-on-one, and his exact answer was no. Ty Lue also somehow hasn't even seen Paul George, based on what he said to the media, and Kawhi even look at a basketball. I think the last time that Ty Lue saw Paul George was the game where he got hurt, maybe, based on what he said in December of last year. Ty Lue hasn't seen anything.
He wears blue blockers in the gym anytime that
Yes.
anytime that those guys are working out.
100%. So Ty's not going to give us.
I also
anything.
just think Ty wants to
never talk about this again.
No coach wants to get involved in like sort of the injury stuff, like the the timeline, training,
Right.
rehab stuff, because like you're just setting yourself up to either leak information that like it should be private, or
Yeah.
like you're just not putting yourself in a good position. But Ty Lue, to me, even more so, is like, I'm doing the opposite of getting involved.
He's
in this.
so busy. He is so busy with what this current situation is with the Clippers. That
He's got his work cut out for him already,
and he's
with
done a
this
great
team.
job.
Yeah.
Yes, but he does not need to add maybes. If maybes and buts or candies and nuts, we'd all be full, or whatever the saying is.
We'd have a bunch of candy.
Exactly. So I don't know, but don't put your tinfoil hats away, please.
Definitely not.
Definitely
not. No, this
I will say though,
this is the most update of the non-updates.
yes,
But
rigorous pregame work.
yeah.
Good to see. Speaking of injured Clippers, Jason Preston is famously a Clippers player. La Murray said that Preston estimates that he's about 3 weeks away from being able to fully practice. So the debut is still on track for the regular season. Cool.
Nice.
Absolutely no idea what to expect. Seems like he's bulked up, which is good.
Good for him. Good for him.
And Yeah, I'm not sure if he'd play in the regular season. Maybe that very last game, which is the second night of a back-to-back. But yeah, good for Preston, I guess. Not, I guess. Good for Preston. Recovering from injury is a giant pain in the ass, especially as a rookie.
Yeah, good for Preston. I always just feel so bad for guys like this who, are a little bit of a longer ways away, a little bit of a raw prospect.
Sure.
And then to have that combined with like an injury in your first year,
It's
not
like scrub too. It's
yeah,
just
and like not
bad
really
luck.
even, get the chance to like show off your skills really even in the G League and kind of like
Yeah.
grow at this
Have a 56er,
Yeah.
like Brandon Boston. Yeah.
at this like next kind of stage of your professional career. I think that's really, really brutal. So
Yeah. I think he'll have a good offseason, though. Preston is the kind of guy who, from everything we've seen, is going to work hard to stay in shape and come back better,
yeah, definitely.
which is great. So shout out Jason Preston. That about wraps it up. Bit of a, hey, let's get this dub.
Let's do it.
That's all we're
Come
worried
on.
about. Thursday's episode, recap of Clippers versus Wizards with potentially a special guest host, which is
Boom.
one of our buddies, because Will's unavoidably detained. A Thursday segment. Of course, whatever else happens between now and then in Clipperland, Will, if someone wanted to listen about how the Clippers, sometimes hit scoring droughts and might get some injured guys back, where could they tell other people to listen to our podcast?
You can check us out on Apple Podcasts or the podcast app on your mobile device. We're also on Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We're on Deezer. We're on Amazon Music. You can always tell your smart speaker to play Locked On Clippers.
Ooh,
Works pretty cool.
it is pretty cool. We're also on pretty cool
living-
pods.
Yes. Living in the future. We mentioned up top, but we do come at you Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Pacific. Make us your first listen, or else.
Oh, whoa. All right. I love how ominous these are. I have been Positive Chuck Mockler.
And I am William the Opinion Updike. And as always, we appreciate you.